Alrighty, a very, very, very happy Thursday to you guys here on the throw-in, available on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Good morning to you guys, and welcome to another episode. We're at the back end of our week, you guys. We are getting ready for the divisional round series, games being played this weekend in the NFL. A couple great games going on for you guys. And I can't wait to talk about it, over the next 2 hours. We got a lot of things transpiring over the next couple hours here. We're going to continue with Love's Not Enough interviews as they get ready to perform this weekend, January 20th through the 22nd at the Community Art Center in Fairfield, Ohio. You guys, if you guys are in the local area, you guys got nothing better to do, I highly recommend heading out to the Community Art Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Tickets are anywhere between $20 and $30. Check out a nice love play, presented by Elightened Studios, also given to you, written and directed by Terry Chappell II, a revamped version of its 2019 original. And man, I'm excited for it. We've been promoting it all week. One of the biggest projects that I've been tackling on, I've gotten a chance to tackle on, and it was so much fun being able to do the interview. So being able to share these through our through the live streams, and be able to present these videos to you guys. Now, I'm going to be honest with you. It's kind of thrown me off a little bit on how these trying to play in these videos, because these interviews are roughly about 20 to 30 minutes long, including the introduction that I recorded, that I inserted before the interview. So, it's taken up a lot of time. Let's, provide a less sports talk and more of these interviews. And it's kind of maybe thrown me off of schedule a little bit. So hopefully this weekend I'm able to regroup myself and be able to get back into the swing of things on Monday. But I've had a blast, that I got to learn and meet a lot of great people for this production, from actresses and actors that's been performing for years to amateur actors. This is their very first play, and just being able to put on this type of project, I've learned a lot. And so this is a learning stepping stone. And you got to understand, having a interview such an early in the morning is so hard. So being able to display this, out of a recording through StreamYard, I have to give a big shout out to StreamYard Studios. Man, you think about everything that they're capable of doing, and it's a whirlwind for, I think, everyone. If you guys, and the reason why I say that is because they've allowed me to come on here, record the interview, and then being able to display it right here on the screen. The only complications that I've had with StreamYard Studios, it's all connected to my internet and the connection I have to my Wi-Fi. Other than that, it has been marvelous being able to put banners down below, being able to put notes on the screen, the logo in the top right-hand corner. I mean, StreamYard Studios is really a really awesome tool, and I can't thank them enough for providing a simple platform for what we do here, so that you guys could be entertained. Because listen, I could have a white wall behind me talking to you guys, and it looks just completely an utter disaster. Well, I got a chance to have a couple of things up on the wall. I've gotten a chance to have displays and pictures and everything like that um up on the wall. And so I'm just very happy, glad that they provide this platform. And Lighten Studios, Love's Not Enough, this second, got a chance to sit down with these guys, and you'll hear more about these interviews as we progress. The one thing I will also include, okay, I want to welcome you guys on YouTube. All right, so thank you. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button. I want to welcome you guys on Facebook. All right, hit that like, share, subscribe button also. If you guys are taking us on the road, downloading us, wherever you guys get your audio platforms, I want to invite you over. We want to thank you. Thank you on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio. If you could listen to podcast anywhere, you could find us on that platform. And if not, personally reach out to me and we'll try to, get ourselves on there. 3 weeks into the world of sports, a lot of things going on as well. We will talk a little bit today about the divisional playoffs because not Jacksonville, because Saturday, we're going to start talking about Saturday's game between the first game that's kicking off, Jacksonville Jaguars and the Kansas City Chiefs. And then Sunday, Saturday's game ends off in the nighttime game with New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. I personally believe that this is kind of a setup and it's kind of just ironically worked this way, where they have, all right, here's the warm-up game. All right, gets a little bit better at the nighttime game. You get over until Sunday, and you have, all right, Sunday you have that game, and that's already, this just a little bit better from the night before, and then you finish off with the Cowboys and 49ers, which is going to be a catastrophic game. So how the NFL played this out, moving itself up the board, I think it's really spectacular. It's going to set yourself up for a playoff weekend in the NFL. We'll take a look around the local sports, things that are, I'll give you a recap of all the basketball games that around here took place back last night. We'll also get you guys ready for this weekend a little bit as well. And then we'll talk a little bit about, whatever we want to talk about in the meantime. So, all right. So coming out of last night, all right, yesterday I think was was a rough day for sports fans, especially for professional wrestling, because we've unfortunately lost a great talent, a talent that's left a mark in professional wrestling in today's generation, as in Jay Briscoe, who was involved into a car accident back on Tuesday night. And it's so heartfelt, trying to, we're still today trying to grasp and to honestly get a hold of what has just happened in the world of professional wrestling. This was a car accident, and I don't know too much of the details about this car accident other than Jay Briscoe was involved. He ended up passing away along with one other, and two other people were sent to the hospital. That's all the update information that I have. And the world has been kind of slow about releasing details of this incident. But, kind of actually seeing how everyone started hearing the news, you actually go back to Tuesday night during NXT when the announced team of NXT announces the passing of Jay Briscoe right then and there. And we don't necessarily see that across wrestling platforms over the last couple of years. To see NXT, who has involvement with WWE, has no tie comparisons with the Briscoes, other than rumors of the Briscoes potentially going to the WWE at one point in time, and who knew what the future held for them. to be able to honor a man who, alongside with his brother Mark Briscoe, and been able to set a stone and a pathway, especially in the independent circuit. They were the first people, okay, the founders of setting that path, those stone, the pathway to success in the independent circuit. We talk about all the time how Cody Rhodes and Matt Cardona, guys like those, had to leave WWE in order to find their success and find out who they really were as professional wrestlers. We see guys like Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks, who has clawed and battled in their way and making a name for themselves without using WWE. You could even go on to say AJ Styles and Samoa Joe and Sting. These are guys that, yes, they used. They were well known before entering the WWE, but at the same time, I can't say AJ Styles, I can't say Samoa Joe because they were in the WWE at one point at the beginning of their career. They went off, they had success, and then they come back. Sting was the other example, but in this generation, where we're starting to grow as a unit, as one, right? As just a professional wrestling industry. You see the Briscoes at the top of that mountain for going out there and going to these different promotions and these different promotions that aren't necessarily on TV, and they're having success. Staying loyal to companies like Ring of Honor. And man, it is still so unbelievable. It's like, when your favorite, it's over the, it's so unsurreal. I think it's still breathtaking for me to have to talk about the passing of Jay Briscoe the other day. Now, I was wondering, heading into AEW last night, how they were going to kind of pay tribute. That they were going to pay some sort of tribute, and it's going to be heavily marked. But, and they did, I think they did what every wrestling company should have done. But they're also, I'm hearing stuff about how Ring of Honor is going to take it to that next step. And that's something that, I can't wait to see the final product. And I'm excited to see this to move forward. So Ring of Honor, AEW night, had to continue last night. You saw a lot of tributes, heartfelt messages broken out all across the board, anywhere from, Tony Khan, who tweeted it that same night, to even Hunter, who is the creative part of WWE. Couple of title matches, though, displayed in last night in AEW. You had Orange Cassidy, who defended his title, the All Atlantic Championship, against Jay Lethal. And when you have those combinations, I think it was a solid match. I'm not going to get too far into it. Darby Allin defeats Kushida for the TNT championship. So I'm just getting my head right here on a Thursday morning. So those two big title matches proceeded, and they had a little bit of everything last night for AEW. But my main focus last night was two stories that were progressing. Last week we got the chance to see Jon Moxley and Adam Page. Now, remember their first showdown where Jon Moxley put Page to sleep. Jon Moxley teases about that. He kind of rubs the wound a little bit with a little bit of salt to Page, which incurred last week's matchup. And just like Jon Moxley made Page pass out, Page decided to return the favor last week by knocking Moxley out. Now Page has come out and said, "Listen, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I'm not going to let you fool me twice here. It's an eye for an eye. You defeated me once. Congratulations. I face you again, and I'm going to defeat you now. We're even. But we know as well as wrestling fans, this is not it. And I've told you this last week that this feud, it seems like Paige needs this feud to help get over. It looks like to me that Jon Moxley and Paige, first of all, whenever they step foot in the ring, it's a great match. You know that they're going to give it all they have. As a matter of fact, I think that Jon Moxley brings the best out of Paige. I've never seen anyone being able to bring the absolute best out of Hangman Adam Page. And we know that this is not over. The score is leveled 1-1. They're going to go meet one more time. And I think it would probably do better good for Hangman Adam Page to come across on this one. And I'm going to call this. I'm going to say this right now, right here on this show. The throw-in, mark the date. Mark the calendar to date, January 19th, 2023. That the next time Moxley and Hangman meet in a match, it would be considered one of the match, it would be a nomination for match of the year. I'm making that bold prediction now. But I'm only telling you that, listen, Moxley and Hangman, although it's a great combination, Hangman needs Moxley more than Moxley needs Hangman. I don't know anyone currently that is capable of stepping up and going toe to toe and, being on the same level that Moxley is other than Hangman Page right now. Okay, the only other person I could think of is Lance Archer, but that's a rarity. It's not really known right now at the top of the food chain. So I'm excited and I can't wait to see when and how they're going to meet again. But it's not over, not even close. And I like it. The WWE, AEW, sorry, I'm getting my promotions mixed up, but AEW has something really good going on their hands that you can't bypass. Matter of fact, I will say this feud right now is better than MJF's and Bryan Danielson's. And I want to talk about Bryan Danielson's and MJF's feud last night because it continues last night as Danielson defeats Bandino on AEW Dynamite. And MJF is coming out there and pricking and, talking his chops off away about how he's just, listen, I given the company the best product in the world, and this is what I have to show for it. I think that everyone, the AEW locker room, and even the fans should give me a little bit better respect that he deserves. So we'll talk a little bit about that a little later on in our program. We'll talk about the playoffs, the two games that will transpire over on Saturday, and we're going to try to have ourselves a good day. All right, you guys are listening to the throw-in on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you guys. Good morning. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and let's have an amazing, great 2 hours. We'll take a break, come on back, and we'll have an interview coming from Love's Not Enough production presented by Elightened Studios that will be played this weekend, January 20th through the 22nd, written and directed by Terry Chappell II, coming up next here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Inside your bedroom, we stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm. Physical silence, no need to speak a word, lay here beside me. Don't wanna move too fast, your lips on my flask, sipping on your love, sipping on your love. I never dare to ask.
upcoming play that is presented by Enlightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell. And that's called Love's Not Enough. That will be featuring this beginning this Friday at the Fairfield Community Arts Center, 411 Wessel Drive, Fairfield, Ohio, and that is area code 45014. Love's Not Enough is assembled with a cast of seasoned actors who will tell the story about the struggles of three besties, Rachel, Courtney, and Carla, and their spouses. Together, they endure the conflicts of life and its dose of reality. These couples truly believe that love alone will sustain them through the difficult times in their marriage. They slowly learn through their own stubbornness that it will take more than words and feelings to keep their marriage alive. This performance is 100% true, except for the parts that are created for a little sense of humor and drama. Love's Not Enough shines a light on difficult subjects such as the not so shameful topic of male infertility, the struggles of an amputee, the exposure of deep family secrets, and overcoming pain caused by religion. Get ready to experience the roller coaster of harsh realities with moments of tear jerkers and joyous celebrations. There will be four plays that will be presented starting on January 20th at 7 p.m., Saturday, January 21st, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday, January 22nd at 2 p.m. Now, I've been given the opportunity just to sit down with some of these cast members and talk to them and pick their brains about what it's like getting into theater. And one thing I could tell you that this has been a diverse group of men and women of all ages, from kids to adults, people with vast experience in theater to even upcoming first-time theater cast members. I highly recommend, if you guys are in the area and you guys want to check out their play, is very sensational, and it will leave you with the direct message, captivating every moment. Love's Not Enough, presented by Enlightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell II. I encourage you guys to head out there, check them out, and I hope you guys enjoy these upcoming interviews that I have on display for you. Be sure to check out all the information in the worlds of sports at the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you. We are joined by here with Haroon Khan, who plays Josh, right, in the upcoming play Love's Not Enough, that will be playing at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio, January 20th to the 22nd. Thank you for coming on and speaking with me. Haroon, how are you doing this afternoon?
First and foremost, Justin, thank you for having me on this. And I know you've probably had a very busy night, so happy to be part of the primetime nightcap. That's what I like to call it, at least. But
Yeah.
I'm doing pretty well and surviving the sudden snowfall that we're apparently having. But
Yeah, I thought it was supposed to be flurries throughout just the afternoon. It's kind of picked up a little bit.
I guess you can't. The legend lives on in Cincinnati that you can't really decipher what kind of weather we're going to have. But again, thank you for having me, and a privilege to be on here.
Absolutely. So we're talking about the upcoming play, Love's Not Enough, and that's written, directed. It's actually a revamp for a play that was played back in 2019. Terry came in, wanted to revamp it up, add some new things. It was based off of a true story. And you play a character of Josh, who is the fiance to Carla. You also serve in the in Air Force. You're currently deployed, and there's you also expected to have a child on the way. Can you kind of just go a little bit more in depth of the role that you play as Josh?
Yeah, you set it up almost, if not perfectly. So, like you said, I play the role of Josh. and it is towards the I believe it's not giving anything away, but it's towards the later stage of the production. And kind of what you said, he is Carla's fiance, and he is deployed in the Air Force for an extended period of time. And Carla and Josh unexpectedly are like a surprise, or again having a child together.
Mhm.
And the outside elements are to remain a surprise, but
Yeah, of course.
it is kind of like a coming togetherness of not only everybody in the family and obviously in the production, but for Carla and Josh, both in their separate terms and obviously coming together. Obviously, I don't think anything trumps having a child together, or anything
Mm,
else
mm.
comes close than having a child together. So it's kind of forces all coming together slowly but surely towards the end of the production. And as many people who are watching or not watching can relate, when a significant other is, man or woman deployed in the military for an extended period of time, regardless of the branch. It's one thing when you're expecting them to come home, and it's another thing when
Mhm.
it's kind of like a surprise. So that's kind of the background of from Josh's perspective of coming home, but that coming home has a lot of layers,
Yeah.
friends and family and Carla, and obviously the baby on the way.
You know, and you're playing this role, and regardless if you have 30 seconds on the stage or you're on the stage for an hour and a half, every
Mhm.
role is important to this play to becoming a success. So even your short, you say you have more of a role at the end of this play, it's still very much more important, because without, Josh and Carla, there's, you know you know I've been told through others that you guys combine, you guys together, you bring everything together. You guys are the bridge of this entire play that's coming up here. Love's Not Enough. Um, have you ever had any experience, with military background before getting the cast as being in the Air Force?
Like on a personal level, like personal
Yeah,
background
personal
wise.
level. Yeah,
No, and I have no experience, which is why it's this beautiful thing called acting, I guess.
yeah.
But maybe just a little bit. But no, I've had no prior experience, but I do have, or in the esteemed company of being around the friend group who have had friends and distant friends, close friends, colleagues that have been in the
Mm,
military. So from a personal experience, like what you can kind of take from all those experiences, not much
mm,
um, directly, but as a performer, that's where the bread and butter is, of kind of taking bits and pieces of conversations we've had with friends, or their stories and experiences of what it's like when their so and so is home
mm.
from, and then once they're deployed, and that transition of you get
Yeah,
used to them being home to where abruptly you get used to them not being home. So I've had a few friends in the military, some friends who have served their time, and now uh, obviously abroad, and now they're done,
mm,
and so now they're back home. And so I've kind of, even though I've not had direct experience with being in the military, I've had indirect experience of kind of being next to or striking distance to people who have been in the military. So I kind of use that as inspiration a little bit, because I am lacking from that direct experience, and
right.
it's kind of draw from that.
The only reason why I'm asking is because it seems like the cast has kind of been, the entire casting has been suited up to personal experiences that they can relate to every character. So, just a long shot, I was just asking if there was any better, closer connection that you have as, as Josh would play, as it being deployed in the Air Force. But you have a lot of casting. You've been an actor. It seems like have you been doing this for a while, or is this your first time, or as an actor?
No, and to kind of digress a little bit and answer the back half. As soon as maybe when Josh comes home,
Mm-hmm.
that's probably the personal
Okay.
attachment of being in that situation of being away from home for a while, or
Yeah.
traveling a lot, or being on whatever project and then coming back after a few months. So from that point onwards, I could definitely relate of just a general idea of surprising someone, or being in a familiar territory after an extended period of time. So maybe that portion of the military I can't relate, but as soon as
Yeah.
he stepped foot on soil, that part I can relate of
Right.
being in familiar territory after a long time. Um, to about the part of how long I've been acting, I've been professionally acting since 2015, more or less. Probably this time of 2015,
Okay.
across a variety of mediums. So film, short film, major motion, a good amount of Indian features,
Mhm.
commercials and advertisements and magazines and
Yeah.
modeling. Believe it or not, this is actually the first theater production I've been a part of.
Okay.
Because normally, as a performer, you tend to stick to what you think you may be good at or comfortable at. So for my bread and butter, that is film. So theater, and I'm again very thankful that Terry and company reached out to me to not only take a chance on me,
Mhm.
but to see that vision or that prolonged vision of, yeah, I think he's whatever small talent he may have, he can direct it to this. So this is not my first rodeo overall, but first stage production for sure. So I'm
And we're
looking
talking
forward to the fun and the challenge.
Yeah, and we're talking about Love's Not Enough that will be played at the Community Art Center January 20th to the 22nd. Four performances altogether. Now, okay, so this is your first theoretical, theater performance,
Mhm.
correct? So
Correct.
is there, when you get ready mentally, physically, for this character, for your role that you play, is it has anything changed compared to when you get ready to act, and act out stuff on, for film or for commercials, in that sense, or do you just is it just business as usual?
Uh, kind of a both. It is business as usual once you get in that zone, kind of.
Hmm.
The preparation obviously is a little different, which I can touch on in a second. But once you have prepped, that is business as usual. You're
Yeah.
whether it's film or theater, you're involved in that character. You are that character. You embody the past, present, and future of that character. The only, I guess, difference is that you get to relive this character for 4 performances in a row, or in this case,
Right.
2.5 days in a row. So that
Yeah.
is a little different. But in terms of preparation, I would say each actor actress has their own quirks and techniques and how they
Mhm.
approach it. I would say for me personally, I approach, again, since this is the first thing for theatrical wise, I approach this role more cautiously a little bit
Mhm.
because it is a more it's the typical live audience, and you embody that character. So I approach this a little cautiously in terms of I am not Harun Khan playing Josh. I am Harun Khan as Josh.
Yeah.
Where maybe to film or commercial, it is the same approach, but kind of like there's a safety net.
Yeah.
You could be that character as much as you want, but there is cut at some point. For theater, the cut is the end of the show,
Mhm.
and so it obviously is more intimate. And the more intimate a performance is, the more intimate your preparation becomes.
Yeah.
So mindset wise, it's the same, but knowing that there's a live audience and that you are Josh or whatever the character's name is, mentally it is a little bit more of like a long haul, long term game.
So, you've gotten a chance, this is your first theater performance, but you've done plenty of films. So you've gotten a chance to see now both sides of the team, whether, you have a team in filming, right? And then you got, Terry's team, involvement of the cast in theater. What's the comparison? Similars, differences? Do you have a preference which one you like or which one's better?
Between film and theater.
Yeah, like I'm talking about the casting and the team that you have behind the scenes, getting ready for the film, to set up the prep work, the family orients. Terry has a big family connection, and his team takes care of one another, and they lift each other up. Is that
Yep.
the same way that when you go into film, those teams do the same thing? Or are they more of like, okay, this is a job role, so I mean, you're just another name on the card. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually a very good question. I would say again, kind of a mixture of both, but not as much. I would say, preference-wise, I would prefer film because
Okay.
it is a more film in the terms of preparation the familiarity of cast and crew, because usually film sets, or duration wise, are much longer. You may have, multiple shows for a week, 2 weeks, 3 months, 6 months for theater, but a lot of film shoots tend to be longer, weeks to months on end, where not one day usually is the same.
Mhm.
The way I kind of foresee it is for theater, even though each performance, each opening night, from the second night to the last show, uh, can be different. Someone may forget their lines and they may improv, or the audience, may react a little differently. But in film, all that is not there. So each shoot is its own little silo, if you will. So I would say I definitely prefer the film, atmosphere
Mhm.
experience. But the to your point of how you touched of, and Terry has done a very instrumental job of, with his wife and with cast and crew, of making everybody. This is not, in my opinion, Love's not enough cast and crew. It's a family, and so
Mhm.
he's done a very good job from day one, since the day I was brought on board, at least, of making everybody feel like a collective family. And I think because theater has that intimate feeling,
Mhm.
it is much easier to feel like a family than film. With film, some days it can be kind of how you mentioned, of you're just a name on the call sheet.
Yeah.
Uh, but because it's so changing, and there's different shoots, and there's different locations, it kind of is more like business, because you have locations and permits and all that stuff. With theater, you're all under one roof, more or less. You're in your
Yeah.
house because you're a big family. So I would say more or less, the atmosphere of cast and crew, and behind camera and rehearsing and setting up, is probably the same for both.
Mhm.
But once the camera starts rolling for film, or once the audience has sat down in theater, that's where that divide definitely starts to become very, very, very noticeable. But again, they're both the best of worlds in each of their own ways.
We're speaking with Haroon Khan, who plays Josh, the fiance of Carla, in the upcoming play "Love's Not Enough," aired in the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Tickets still available. You got 4 performances over 3 nights. Now, you've had a lot of experience in film, and I'm sure coming over to theater, there are things that you could possibly take away from the theater aspect to help you better with filming, and there's vice versa, right? So what
Of course.
have things been that you've been able to enlighten Terry and help Terry out, from the knowledge that you have in film, carrying over to maybe um showing him in theater aspect, and then vice versa, if I clear that up.
If Yeah, yeah, no, no. To be very honest, I would say, if maybe this much, if that, I have been able to, because Terry has been a very striking and knows what he wants kind of a director. Like, there's not
Okay.
much, no matter how much talented someone is, I don't think they could, show or help Terry, because he's very good at what he does.
Mhm.
So, but if there is something that I may have shown, maybe just adaptability.
Okay.
I would say, in, again, theater, there's not, to my knowledge at least, again, usually you have maybe one, maximum two locations. So everything's kind of in house, and whatever
Mhm.
chaos or mess may happen is all, within four walls. For film, locations, weather, there's so many external factors, and, you know, cast and crew and everything. And so I would say, from what I can translate from film to theater, I would say maybe the adaptability, kind of, if things go wrong,
Mhm.
it's okay. Things, if and, if things don't go wrong, then it's not a normal production, because of course always something goes wrong.
Mhm.
So that's kind of, from experience of films, of short, medium, long, quick, fast, slow, large, big, whatever. I would say, um, that's probably something I've translated over, um, first and foremost. And then from theater, kind of my takeaways, like, like my learnings back to film, I would say becoming more patient. For me personally, at least, I've realized in these past 2.5, almost 3 months, theater is a not a marathon. It is, a very, very slow paced, methodical performance. And it has taught me to, calm down, maybe pump the brakes a little, because film is very dynamic and ever changing, and scenes get shifted. But with theater, it's, again, since you are the character, there's no rush. You are that person. So it has taught me a valuable lesson, and still is, all the way up to when we perform next weekend, and probably after, to take it literally one sentence by one sentence, and the preparation and the build up is just very patient and very, very zen like, I would say.
So you're cast in this role, theater role. Love's not enough. Um, as you go through this journey, and there's a lot of stuff being told into this play. What is one thing at the end of the night, when this is all said and done, that you want the audience to captivate and take home with you, or take home with them? I'm sorry, and that in the sense that you leave behind.
Sense of togetherness, I would say, hopefully, and I'm kind of using this opportunity to hopefully speak on everybody's behalf that's a part of this, not just me, of whatever their roles are, that every night, for all 4 nights, that the audience, and if someone comes all 4 nights, even better, the same person, that they leave with, a sense of togetherness, that, oh, the actors and actresses and the performers on stage really struck a chord with me, as an audience member, for example, or with my performance in particular, kind of, the entire production is like, like a build up, and it's slowly getting to that full circle, and then with, obviously, of my portion of just closing that bridge and making everything just be uniform. So that would be my personal goal for just my role, but for the entire production, I would hope that every night, for all those 4 performances, that the audience can relate, emotionally, and be attached to, when kids may be coming with their parents to the performance, on the way back home, they'll talk about the show, or maybe the
Yeah.
next day after, oh, thanks mom, thanks dad for taking me to this. Can you, can you believe this happened last night? Or, they talk about and have that discourse. So not only my part, but the entire production, I hope we are able to deliver that, because, again, this is the show for the people attending. So relatability and togetherness would hopefully be, my personal and everyone's message.
I mean, and hopefully, because Terry's looking to expand this even further, take it on a tour, cast
Mhm.
it around the world. Hopefully, one day, and I'm sure he has a great cast, here, and there's no doubt that he could potentially do that. Nervous thoughts about having to perform this 4 consecutive times? I mean, I can maybe assume that this could just be like doing takes over and over again on a film, but you're doing all of this, and like you mentioned, staying in a character from the start of the play to the end of the play, not being able to cut in and out. Any nervousness? Any you're feeling any weird? How you feeling about it?
For both theater and film, always nervous every time. Each project for me always feels like the first, and it could also maybe be the last, but it always feels like the first.
Mhm.
And so, definitely, there's always nervousness. There's always those jitters. There's always those bugs right before, the moment before. And of course, since this is a live audience, that just ups the ante a little bit. So definitely will be nervousness, but something that I think we as a collective family are not prepared for, because
Mhm.
Terry has done a really good job with the rehearsals and calming everybody's nerves. And we have a pretty diverse group of some people's, it's their first time ever, or maybe, like in my case, first time for theater, or maybe their 10th time, or so there's a mix of everything. So that's kind of good to know that there's maybe someone else in the same boat as you, or maybe someone needs that uplifting, or you could be that calm to somebody. So it's kind of a mixture of everything. It is kind of like takes of
Yeah.
doing this within 2 or 2.5 days, 4 different performances, and each performance will have its own little vibe. It's the same story, but I look forward to that, because it's not one performance is going to be the exact same thing. So it's kind of dynamic in its own, and it's a breath of fresh air also, because in film, if you do 4 takes, that the shot is the same, more or less. Whereas theater, again, you don't know how the audience will react, and how your fellow co-actor actresses may react.
Yeah.
So it'll be fun. It'll be fun. Of course, nervousness, but good kind of nervousness.
Well, listen, I don't know if anyone's really gone out there and talked to you, but I want to, personally just applaud you for being able to adapt and, take on this challenge, because when you're so used to doing things a certain way as maybe in how film does it, and then you transition to theater production, that's, a completely different thing. And you got to learn, a whole bunch of, new stuff, and to be be open and willingness to give it a try, and try to expand and broaden your knowledge, and experiences. That's just something that not many people take advantage of. So applaud you for being able to transition into theater and into being a part of Terry's play. Any other things that maybe coming up from you in the near future that we could share?
Yeah, love's not enough. No, I'm kidding. First of all, you're very sweet, and I appreciate your warm sentiments. It is an adjustment, but at the same time, again, want to thank the cast, crew, and obviously Terry for again seeing that in me, as well as my fellow cast and crew. For upcoming projects, there is a couple of films in the pipeline. Actually, this time last week, actually, we kind of made official. There's a short film that we filmed in St. Louis called Unsuitable. It's
Okay.
on Instagram or Facebook at Unsuitable Short Film. So
Okay.
it's kind of like an avant-garde film about a second generation um, Indian painter
Okay.
who has kind of proved himself not only to his family but to the art community, to kind of give me a chance to make my mark, literally. And so that it will be, we filmed about 75% of that here in America, and
Mhm.
then the remaining will be filming that in India in a couple of
Oh,
months.
really?
So
Okay.
that'll be releasing later this April, May, more or less, and then the full year long of festival run. So
Okay.
that is something that is kind of in the pipe works, and again, just 7 days old. So
Yeah. Yeah.
very attached to that, and so again, very looking forward to seeing where that goes as well.
Well, I'm looking forward to for the final production and watching that film. Haroon, I want to thank you for taking your time and coming on this program. I want to wish you best of luck in the
Thank you.
upcoming production of Love's Not Enough, aired once again January 20th through the 22nd. I'll be sure to get that information that you just mentioned about your upcoming film also down in the description in this interview. So wish you the best of luck, and thank you again.
Thank you again, and I appreciate you reaching out. Thank you, Justin.
All right, take care. Alrighty, that was Haroon Khan. There we I got a chance to interview a bunch of people. Um, Terry sent me over like 9 different interviews, over 18 different people being in interviews over, I want to say about a 12, say about no about 12, 16 hour span. I did a kind of like a time rush from what 5 p.m. Friday night up until 8, and then from 10 to like 10:30 to 12:30, if not 1 o'clock. And it was just like I said, I just want to re-emphasize just the amount of energy that each and every one of these cast members brought to you know to the interview. I mean, I was excited. Terry told me just how excited he was himself, and how much the cast enjoyed all this. And listen, I mean, whatever feedback or support you're getting, we're getting. Hopefully, we are getting some positive feedback from this. But check it out. Check it out. Love's Not Enough. Limited time only. Right now, hopefully they could take it on the road so everyone could watch it and get a taste of it. This weekend, January 20th through to the 22nd at the Community Art Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Presented by Elightened Studios and written directed by Terry Chappell II, who we had on earlier this week. All right, before we cut the break, got about hit the top of the hour, want to kind of bring to you a little bit of the information heading your way, because yesterday, Tuesday wasn't the only incident that we had with the professional wrestler passing away um and having complications. So let me see if I can yesterday was according to several numerous reports, yesterday police did a wellness check on Kevin Nash, aka Diesel, Big Daddy Cool, part of NWO, part of the Click, involved in WCW and WWE, TNA, and last year a couple of things had transpired where Scott Hall passed away, which was devastating. I believe his son also passed away, and he was on his podcast the other day, and here's the transcript below. Excuse me. Nash said, "Today is week 12 that I lost my boy. Time flies when you got a gun in your mouth. I mean, time flies when you're having fun." This is, and I quote, what Kevin Nash said. And I'll explain more in details here in just a minute. And then Oliver, who was on his show with him, Oliver says, "Don't play like that. You have a gun. You have guns, so you can't say those things." Nash goes on and says, "I can say whatever and the fuck I want to do, as long as I leave a note." Nash later then said, "In the following, every morning when I wake up, the first thing that happens, I come to realization that instead of there being 3 human beings at my home, now there's now 2. And the third person isn't on vacation or staying with a friend or is just out late. He's never coming back. And then I sit up in my bed and I have absolutely nothing I have to do." And it's like that. And it's like, so why am I getting out of bed? That has spoken across numerous of people. And yes, convicted at everyone, that police went to go do a wellness check on Kevin Nash yesterday, making sure that he's okay. Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know Kevin Nash and what he's gone through over this past year. It's very, those scenarios where, especially around this time of year where things maybe do start getting rough on certain, on people. Things were rough, for a while when my, uncle passed away a decade ago. And, you just remember the things that happened before and after that really just kind of make you, bring you back memories, whether they're good or bad, to be honest. So, whatever Kevin Nash is dealing with, whether it's serious or it's not serious, those are taken with a serious, no. You have to take all of that as serious as possible. So that's what the cause for the wellness check, and I hope everything is okay with Kevin Nash. And it's just you could feel his pain. Especially if you have someone you could relate to, you could definitely feel the pain of Kevin Nash. All right, let's step aside, take a break. We'll come on back. We'll give you a trip around the local sports, still talking about the NFL and its upcoming weekend as the TNC Sports Talk continues right here, as the throwing continues right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
About to leave, already packing, come with me. I'm not really asking, we'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it. miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's go, let's be free with me. Be free. Not looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow, we can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free.
Hour number 2 here on the throw-in. Welcome back, everyone. Want to give a big shout out to Epidemic Sound. Discover your world-class artists, composers, and bands. Find the perfect soundtrack and give your social music accounts the music they deserve. Epidemic Sound is a royalty-free music link. For more information, check out epidemicsound.com. Songs Violet Skies by Fellow. All right, hour number 2 here on a Thursday morning. Thank you guys for tuning in and joining with us here. Time to take a look around the world of sports as we get ready. A couple of big things happening, taking on not only for this weekend, but what happened yesterday. It was a big day for NCAA men's basketball in the local area as the Cincinnati Bearcats took a victory over South Florida last night, 85-69, a 16-point lead in the first half allowed the Bearcats to set things on cruise control as they took the victory. Nolly Landers and DeJesus Davis put up 21 points in yesterday's victory. The Bearcats moved to 14-6, 5-2 in the conference with a 3-game winning streak. Their next matchup will be on Sunday at 1 p.m. against Memphis. It will be a throwback jersey day. The Cincinnati Bearcats are tied in second place in the American Atlantic, just a 5-2, tied with Tulane and Temple, just behind Houston, who sits 3-0 in the conference play. Xavier Musketeers go 15-4, 15-4 on the season after they picked up a loss back yesterday against DePaul, 73-72. They moved to 7-1 in the conference, losing their first conference game this season. The next matchup is on the 21st, this Saturday at high noon against Georgetown. Xavier currently leads the Big East in the conference, 7-1, ahead of Marquette and Providence, who's shortly right behind them. Ohio Buckeyes did battle in Nebraska against Nebraska last night, losing 63-60 in a close game. Bryce Sinnesbog, a guy who we've been paying attention to the last couple of games, 18 points, 10 rebounds, his third consecutive double-double. His next opportunity will be on Saturday at 2 p.m. against Iowa. The Buckeyes moved to 10-8, 2-5 on the conference, second to last in the Big Ten on a 5-game losing streak so far. Kentucky Wildcats have went ahead and, they played their game against Georgia a couple of days ago. They are 12-6, 3-3 on the conference. And their next game is on Saturday against Texas A&M at 2 p.m. All right. The Cincinnati Cyclones are going to have an impactful weekend in the ECHL Central. They are in second place, ahead of just behind of the Fields, who they'll play this Friday night against the Indy Fields, who are in first place to 25-10-1-0. The Cyclones sit at 27-4-2. Puck drops at 7 p.m. and then to wrap up the weekend on the road, they'll be facing Kalamazoo Wings on the road, who are sixth place, 15-16-3. That's the ECHL hockey, and I got to apologize because for the longest time I didn't know the affiliations to Cincinnati Cyclones. Find out they're affiliated with the Buffalo Sabres. So, close connection over there. Over in the NFL, the Bengals get ready to take on the Buffalo Bills on Sunday, which will provide more in-depth conversation about that moving forward. Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and the Bengals are set to do battle against a team that they did not get a chance to face in Week 17 of the NFL regular season. This time ahead, they'll be over in Buffalo to face Josh Allen and the Bills. And last but not least, we wind down on the Cincinnati Reds as we start creeping closer to pitchers and catchers and positions. Reporting to practice, we'll dive a little bit more, next week on the program. So that is your local week sports updates here on the Throw-In. All right, we get ready for some NFL divisional games coming up ahead, as we're going to kick off with Saturday games taking on, today, and then Sunday's games recapping for tomorrow. So a little bit left and right. A couple of questions before we get started with these weekend games. There are questions, the biggest questions coming out for all teams. We'll start off with the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the biggest question coming out of them is, did they already hit their emotional peak? And I got to say about this, listen, they had a very emotional game last week against the Chargers. They went ahead and defeated, the Chargers after a enormous comeback. Their season is what you would call a underdogs, postseason run. And if it comes to an end today, they're one of the scenarios where, every game, as long as if they win one game, they've already accomplished a lot more than what people expected in the postseason. Just like last week, we talked about the Seahawks as one of those teams who, regardless of the outcome, you have to appreciate. There's a lot to hold your head up high to. And heading into this weekend against the Chiefs, and a little bit more desirable moment, as much as maybe Jacksonville wants to be able to sweep the AFC West and knock them out of the playoffs, they're going to have to step their emotional game up 10 times as worse heading into this game. So, I really don't believe that it's not nothing. Listen, one of my biggest things coming into the season was that Trevor Lawrence was going to have to get his head clear and have a season that tops off the last season, because he needed to start establishing himself and what he's capable of doing. He brought his team to the postseason, and he also brought his team to a postseason victory. Could Trevor Lawrence pull another stop out? I think he most certainly can. But what's going to have to happen for the Jaguars to beat the Kansas City Chiefs is that they're going to have to play a game that no one expected them to play at that level. I don't expect, unfortunately, this Saturday to be any different against the Chiefs. Yeah, they may get a touchdown or two, and that's going to be because the Chiefs defense, and which leads me up to this question, is that the defense, for the Kansas City Chiefs, will the defense provide enough support? We know how dominant Andy Reid is and Patrick Mahomes is. We know that Kansas City can put up the points. And we saw anything like we did last week, unless Jacksonville's defense knocks it out and shows everyone that they're the greatest defense ever, it looks like Kansas City, you could promise at least 30 plus points in this game on Saturday. The biggest question for Kansas City, and the reason why they haven't been the talk of the NFL, is because of their defense. They got 3 rookie quarterbacks playing on defense: Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, and Joshua Williams. Now, I'm not decrediting anybody. It's Jacksonville being able to take advantage of the rookie mistakes. Like we mentioned last week, I thought, listen, Trevor Lawrence, he's still a young quarterback. He's still trying to find his way. He's playing against the, Los Angeles Chargers, who probably, you would think that they've had a little bit more of a comfortable, perspective over the playoffs. But you expect teams like Jacksonville to kind of go through their mistakes and go through their, issues, which holds them back from advancing the next week. Well, somehow Jacksonville found a way to overcome. They took advantage of the mistakes, and this Saturday is going to and take advantage of the Kansas City's defensive mistakes. So the biggest question of this game is, because I already know how Kansas City's offense versus Jacksonville's defense is going to turn out. And I know that Kansas City, I'm confident that Kansas City's offense is going to be able to easily put up at least 20 to 30 points against Jacksonville's defense. The biggest question that comes into this game, this scenario, is if Kansas City, after coming off of a bye, can hold and improve themselves to hold Jacksonville's offense to a steady under 20 points. And on the other side of the ball, for Trevor Lawrence, he's going to have to, knowing that, hey, we have flaws in our offense, and that's given. Kansas City also has flaws in their offense. So the question is going to be, is if Trevor Lawrence can pinpoint Kansas City's troubles in their offense, in their defense, and be able to use that to his advantage, because he's going to have to keep up with Patrick Mahomes and the offense if they even want a chance to win. Unfortunately, I don't see that happening. At least Kansas City most likely lives for another week in the postseason. So I'm picking easily Kansas City Chiefs to win the first game of this, the divisional series. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that this is a game that leads up and it gets a little bit better the next game, and then heading into Sunday's afternoon game, Bengals and Bills, it gets a little bit better than that, and then it also gets better in the finale, Cowboys and 49ers. And it sucks because I got to keep my thoughts to myself with the Bengals and Bills and the Cowboys and 49ers on Sunday. But we get to talk about the Giants and the Eagles, which is going to be the next favorite matchup game. The question coming out of Philadelphia, okay, what exactly is Jalen Hurts' status? We know that he's injured or he's not 100%. And we know that he's already going to suit up, though, and he's going to attempt to play. Something that I think and people are overlooked, and I haven't really brought this up since Monday, from compared to Lamar Jackson. And I think the appropriate time is to talk about Lamar Jackson in the offseason, because there's a lot of questions stirring around the relationship between Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, not Buffalo, Baltimore Ravens. And it's going, there's going to be a bigger question about what future lies for Lamar Jackson. But we're talking about Jalen Hurts. Eagles are confident in Jalen Hurts. Okay. Their weapons are very easy. A.J. Brown, Devontae Adams. Okay. But the Eagles are coming off of a bye. And I mentioned this to you guys in yesterday's episode about the momentum. Sometimes the momentum has their advantages. And for the New York Giants, they've had more momentum heading into this game because they won last week against Minnesota. They had to claw their way the last month to capture a NFC wildcard spot. Philadelphia got off to this tremendous run, but at the same time, they've had to after they got to that certain point, you guys, they've kind of just hit that neutral zone, just like in comparisons to the Minnesota Vikings. They've sustained, and yes, the last week or two, they pulled off a victory against, they pulled off a victory in week 18. They clinched the division. Congratulations. Nothing special, though, because they're going to have to do it again this weekend. And I don't know if there's enough more, other than, hey, I have one more game above you out of week 18, and we beat you 2 weeks ago, we could beat you again. That may not always be the case. You see, remember when the Rams and the 49ers did battle last year, and they went to San Francisco, went into LA, and they clobbered them. But then in the postseason, when they went back, it was a different turn of events. This may very well be that scenario. Because the Giants, the question is can their defensive coordinator, Wink Martindale, can they match up the speed with Brian DeBall and Mike Kafka? Now, I've told you it was all about Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Well, guess what? We have not yet to see Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones do anything exciting. All right. And it's going to be about what the quarterback can do beyond the regions of running the game and throwing the football. What can he do to separate himself from his opponents? And we have yet to see something exciting coming out of the combination of Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Now, I'm confident that we are going to see that. And if it's not, better yet, not last week, it should be this week. So, my thought between the Saturday night times game, we played at 8:15 in Philadelphia, and the Giants will be over there, is that I think the momentum after beating the Vikings and after having to clobber their way into the wild card spot, the Giants have a little bit more momentum going into the postseason, going into this particular matchup. Jalen Hurts is hurt. New York Giants is more well established. their problem is, I talk about problems, right? Because I mentioned the Bills and Bengals problem yesterday, and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But the problem here in this matchup alone is the Giants' defense, which is defensive coordinator, which is, by the way, fixable compared to Philadelphia's injured Jalen Hurts. When you have an injured Jalen Hurts, and I'll leave it off of this, but when you have an injured quarterback, they're not prone to moving outside the pocket. They're going to stay in the pocket, and Jalen Hurts is not the tallest quarterback, and he kind of does rely on a lot of outside movement, but he's going to try to stay in the pocket, which means that offensive line is going to have to hold Jalen, the defense and the pass rush to a T. And there was a lot of pass rush against Minnesota's game last week. So I'm picking the Giants in this one to be the upset over Philadelphia in that conclusions. All right. That is my Saturday's pick, you guys. All right. We will come back tomorrow morning and I'll break down Sunday's matchup because you got the Bengals, Bills, Cowboys, 49ers, and that's a whole nother, shenanigan process here. I want to step aside when we come back. I got another interview for you guys from Love's Not Enough's theoretical play that will be displayed limited time only at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio, January 20th through the 22nd. So let's step aside and come on back. Don't go nowhere. Take you guys up until 8 o'clock in the morning right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. upcoming play that is presented by Elightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell. And that's called Love's Not Enough. That will be featuring beginning this Friday at the Fairfield Community Arts Center, 411 Wessel Drive, Fairfield, Ohio, and that is area code 45014. Love's Not Enough is assembled with a cast of seasoned actors who will tell the story about the struggles of three besties, Rachel, Courtney, and Carla, and their spouses. Together, they endure the conflicts of life and its dose of reality. These couples truly believe that love alone will sustain them through the difficult times in their marriage. They slowly learn through their own stubbornness that it will take more than words and feelings to keep their marriage alive. This performance is 100% true, except for the parts that are created for a little sense of humor and drama. Love's Not Enough shines a light on difficult subjects such as the not so shameful topic of male infertility, the struggles of an amputee, the exposure of deep family secrets, and overcoming pain caused by religion. Get ready to experience the roller coaster of harsh realities with moments of tear-jerkers and joyous celebrations. There will be 4 plays that will be presented starting on January 20th at 7 p.m., Saturday, January 21st, 2 p.m. and 7 p.m., and Sunday, January 22nd at 2 p.m. Now, I've been given the opportunity just to sit down with some of these cast members and talk to them and pick their brains about what it's like getting into theater. And one thing I could tell you that this has been a diverse group of men and women of all ages, from kids to adults, people with vast experience in theater to even upcoming first-time theater cast members. I highly recommend, if you guys are in the area and you guys want to check out their play. It's very sensational, and it will leave you with the direct message, captivating every moment. Love's Not Enough, presented by Elightened Studios, written and directed by Terry Chappell II. I encourage you guys to head out there, check them out, and I hope you guys enjoy these upcoming interviews that I have on display for you. Be sure to check out all the information in the worlds of sports at the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. Thank you. Alrighty. Well, we are joined by Michael and Allison, right? Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
It's okay. You guys are fine. Allison, Michael, and, who play a married couple, if I'm not mistaken, right? On the upcoming play, Love's Not Enough. They play Neil and Courtney, who, in this play, Love's Not Enough, that will be presented on January 20th through the 22nd at the Community Art Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Good morning. Thank you guys for tuning in to us.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So I kind of just, curious base, if you don't mind, just telling us a little bit about yourself, if you guys have been in plays before, and kind of also your role to the upcoming release play, Love's Not Enough.
Sure.
I'll go first.
Sure. Sorry, we're having major issues with this video.
No, you're fine.
Use the camera.
Here we go. Okay. So I have been doing acting since I was a little girl. I didn't do it for a really long time, about 10 years, and got back into stage acting in 2018. I've done also some film stuff recently, so really starting to get back into it. And I play Courtney in the show, and this is my husband, Neil.
Hey, how's it going? My stage name is Neil. My real name is Michael Bartolone. I started acting just recently, really. I've done a lot of plays like with family and in my church and my community growing up. So I've been just kind of eased into it. I think my main influence is my mother. She always wrote our church plays, and of course I'm her son, so I'll get the main roles normally. So always like David and Goliath. I will be David, and then one of the older members will be Goliath, and it was lots of fun. So I enjoy it a lot, and that's kind of what pushed me into joining Love's Not Enough. I've met Mr. Terry a while ago, so and then I just decided to just kind of see where it takes me. So
Love's Not Enough. This is, Terry's done a phenomenal job of getting everyone from different regions, to join in, whether they've never acted before or they want to act or they're nervous to act. He's been able to work along with a good set of team that is able to help people overcome. Courtney, you mentioned you started acting when you were just a little child, and now you're still, you got back into it, and you're also seeing other kids who are maybe nervous about acting, right? And nervous about what it comes with. And how, watching from when you started from 10, at the age of 10 to now, and seeing the kids, now wanting to do that, what type of motivation or support do you provide to help maybe older people that are trying to learn how to act, or even to the younger kids that are looking to see if this fits them?
Yeah, so my goal really is to just make my scene partners feel comfortable. I think that's the biggest part of acting, is just being comfortable in your character and in your scene. The believability of a scene is what makes it great. So just really making them feel comfortable, and just letting them know that they're doing a great job. And it's a dream that I gave up on when I was little. So I always tell anybody who asks me for advice, if you have a dream, never give it up.
and in my church and my community growing up. So I've been just kind of eased into it. I think my main influence is
to help maybe Community Arts Center here, January 20th through the 22nd, is based off of a true story. And it seems like when Terry was casting roles for this play, he tried to pair everyone up almost to according to what they are in in real life, right? Is there any connection to your personal lives that you can relate to the characters that you're going to be portraying as Courtney or Neil?
Yeah, so when Terry first reached out to me about the show, I was a little hesitant because I had not worked with Terry before. I didn't officially audition, so when he reached out to me, I was I was surprised. But when he told me what the show was about, it really resonated with me. So one of the big topics is infertility, and that's something that I struggled with personally. So when he told me that, it just felt like the perfect opportunity to be able to connect with my character and the show, and that got me really excited. Did you personally connect with the show at all?
I did. Think my fiance and I were having issues similar to what the play is about during our first couple of years. But now we have a son, so it's definitely a life-changing play. It gives you inspiration, it gives you hope. It has a powerful message to it. So when Terry told me about it too, I was excited about it. So it was good.
Well, congratulations on your son. So this is a revamp version of what was presented back in 2019. Obviously, there's been a little bit of changes, a little bit of more of a enhancing for this upcoming performance. But knowing that there was a play done a couple years ago, now they're trying to make this reactivated and make the most of it. Is there any more pressure that maybe comes under a character like Courtney or Neil that is put upon you, trying to make sure that you either one, meet the standards, or try to do better, have a better chance this time? Are you guys there?
Well, for me, I was in the first Love's Not Enough, so this is my second time with the, and I'm basically the same character as I was before, so my role hasn't changed. But I've definitely wanted to improve my character, so it's kind of like a new challenge for me. So things that I didn't do or maybe didn't say, or the energy I didn't bring the first time, I want to challenge myself and bring it this time and make it even better. So I think it's a good challenge. I don't see anything. I guess yeah, I just want to improve, make it better. So.
Yeah, I was not part of the play the first time. But I think the biggest thing for me is just making sure that my character is amplified and just trying to really feel the emotions of the play as it goes on. Courtney is a very emotional character, so really connecting with that and just bringing her to life as much as I can.
Well, we're speaking to Allison and Michael, who is playing Courtney and Neil in the upcoming play released Love's Not Enough, January 20th through the 22nd. You guys have 4 performances over 3 days. The biggest thing that's coming out in these interviews that we've been, that I've been conducting with the entire cast is about how well and how close this entire cast crew it has come together, taking care of each other, lifting each other up, supporting each other, whether it's in the play or even if it's personal things that's going on at home. How much does this this Terry's crew reflect on you and support you? What does it mean to you guys?
Yeah, so to me, it has been really cool seeing how in the beginning nobody really knew each other, and today we all came in and we're hugging each other, asking how each other's doing, and even checking in on personal things that we know are going on in each other's lives. I think it's been really cool just being able to connect with people, and we actually have a group chat that people go on and say, hey, could use some prayers for this or that, and just the wave of responses that comes in, with supportive messages and we're here for you. I just feel like this group is really great at supporting each other and helping each other through whatever we may be having going on in our lives. How do you feel?
I think there's definitely a growth from when we first started. Everybody, I think, was a little bit shy, or people didn't really know each other, and then some of the old cast members knew each other before. But I think compared to now, it's definitely you can feel, I guess, the love. You can feel the everybody's supporting each other, and it's definitely a big improvement. Like Miss Allison was saying, we have a group chat where if you need prayer or if you need maybe some advice, Mrs. D, our coach, she sends us positive videos, or she'll send us tips there, you should work on this, or if you're going through a rough time, do this, and just different advices. It's not even it might not be acting related. It can be personal. It's that's the cool thing for me, just because we take away from the acting sometimes and focus on the person itself. Because a lot of times, if you're not good, or if you're feeling down, or if you're upset as a person, then it's tough for you to get into character. So everybody wants to make sure you're doing all right, and you stay strong, so you can give your all when it comes time to performing. So.
Last question I'll leave you off of. I'm asking everyone this. Love's Not Enough is a very powerful, sends a very powerful message. In different in any way. But if they're through your characters, when this is all said and done, what is the one thing that you want the audience to take away from the story that you guys are telling?
So the message that people should take away from Courtney and Neil's story, to me, is that you may not get what you want or what you asked for in the time frame that you thought you would. But if you have faith and you believe that something will happen for you, it will happen for you. It just is a matter of time. And I think it's translatable to a lot of things in life. For Neil and Courtney, it was having a baby. In life, anything that you want, if you want it hard enough, and I think with like acting and pursuing things in this industry is very similar. You may not get it right now, but if you keep working and you believe in yourself, you will make it.
I think what I would like people to take away is that that trust in your partner more. I think a lot of times in relationships, people tend not to say things, or maybe, oh, well, what if he thinks this, or what if she thinks that. I think just being able to trust your partner, and being able to talk openly in a relationship is very important, without revealing too much of our scene. But that's I guess that's something that we struggle in our relationships on stage. So just be supportive of your partner, and just have trust in one another. So it's I think that's what I would like them to take away from it. So.
Well, you guys can find Courtney and Neil as inside Love's Not Enough. That will be played at the Community Arts Center January 20th through the 22nd. Allison, Michael, thank you so much for taking the time and speaking with me. Good luck in the performances.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys take care.
You too.
Alrighty. Well, that was today's interviews lined up for Love's Not Enough, a production play presented by Elightened Studios. As I mentioned, will be displayed and produced this weekend, January 20th through the 22nd, at the Community Arts Center in Fairfield, Ohio. Your tickets are still available, between $20 and $30, depending on where you're going to be sitting at, matinee, studio, or orchestra seats. Go check them out. Got nothing to do this weekend. There's 4 performances. Great chance to go check them out and have a great time. So let's step away one last time and come back and wrap up our show and finish talking some sports with you. Don't press that dial leading you up until 8 o'clock in the morning right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel.
Inside your bedroom, we stopped counting the days, lost in the rhythm. Physical silence, no need to speak a word, lay here beside me. Don't wanna move too fast, your lips on the floors, sipping on your love, sipping on your love. I never dared to ask if we're my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. It's so cruel how I'm loving the things you do. Ooh, yeah. Oh my God. Oh my God. You know you're playing your cards so right. Oh, I am a sucker for hearts, just the dirty clubs and diamonds. Take me, oh my God, oh, but we'll hold our faces straight. Oh, I am a sucker for hearts. I'm a sucker for hearts. Hearts, hearts. I'm a sucker for hearts. Hearts, hearts. I'm a sucker for hearts. The frost, your lips on the floors, sipping on your love, sipping on your love.
Sé lo que quiero, verme abajo, pero no puedo. Yeah.
Alrighty, let's welcome back here, wrap up a great program we've had. 2 hours. We'll be back again one more time tomorrow morning to finish this off for another great week. Getting ready, guys, ready for the NFL Divisional games tomorrow over the weekend. We talked about the 2 games on Saturday. We'll talk about the other 2 games for Sunday tomorrow morning. And, listen, I want to give one more big shout out to StreamYard Studios, making all this possible, you guys. Doing podcasting, doing sports talk shows. I never thought how easy it is to produce and to actually host a show, all thanks to StreamYard Studios. This morning, I kicked things off talking about AEW Dynamite in many different ways. And coming off, one thing I wanted to finish talking to you guys directly about is MJF and Bryan Danielson. While the stipulations, I think, are set, they're going to have this big title match in a couple of weeks. You have to, MJF has put Bryan Danielson up to the task of having to defeat the remainder of his opponents from then, from a few weeks back until the upcoming event. And for me, this is where I am, I've been having a little bit of struggle wrapping my head around Bryan Danielson, where, things are at and how things are going among this AEW championship run. We saw a great title defense between Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. And I think what really gets to me is that this first time we've seen a title defense or a title reign in AEW that the talent is trying to get away from it all, trying to get away from actually defending his title. MJF, let's give credit where credit's due. You could do whatever you need to do to earn a title opportunity, to be crowned a champion in any promotion. But it's also how you carry yourself afterwards that really affects, in my opinion, affects how a title is to be carried. MJF was at the top of AEW, if not at the top of professional wrestling this past year. All right, we're not gonna dethrone and decredit what he's brought to the table. But here's a reference. When a person like MJF, and I've seen this before, goes out and breaks down that fifth wall and speaks on behalf of, towards the company, he brings this, and he finally gets what he wants. All right, so MJF comes out, he speaks on behalf of the company, he speaks on behalf, beyond the company. He addresses Tony Khan individually. Yes, he eventually gets what he wants, but here's the problem. Okay, now you have to live up to the expectation. You worked so hard to get where you are today. You finally got it. You got to live up to it. I don't know if MJF is living up to it by saying, all right, now I don't have to defend it. Once your title, I should just sit into the, walk into the sunset and not have to do anything else. Well, guess what? All the other greatest titles holders before you defended it week in and week out. Hangman Page, John Moxley defended it week in and week out. You guys, guess what? Kenny Omega did that. There's a different image, you guys, when you finally get to the top and you capture that gold and you stand on top of the face of the company. There's a different level of responsibility you're given. And you have to earn that responsibility. You have to earn that level that is given. And this is not the way to do so. And for me, it's ruined the image of MJF's career. It ruins the persona of this championship that he currently possesses. I'll tell you this. What does this remind you of? This exact thing that MJF is running, this storyline, this great storyline that was fantastic a year ago, then I'm sorry that this match between MJF and Bryan Danielson is not really getting anywhere to me. Matter of fact, now he's having to take 10 steps backwards, in my opinion. Let's make this clear. What does this remind you of, you guys? CM Punk. And where's CM Punk today? Where is he today? When CM Punk had the pipe bomb in the WWE, where did that ultimately lead him? Out the business. CM Punk has his pipe bomb in the WWE, thinks that he's capable, that he's too good for the WWE because they won't listen to him and do what he wants him to do. They finally get, they give him that, that title. He lasts a little bit longer, you guys, and then he's out the business. And then he comes into AEW, and that persona, he doesn't live up to that expectation. He doesn't live up to his CM Punk name. Everyone was so glamorously excited for him to come back, and he didn't withstand that. So I leave you today. CM Punk and MJF storyline is very, very, very similar. And I'm worried about MJF. I'm worried that this isn't going to be the title one that people expected it to be. I'm worried that MJF is going to be disappointed in this title run. There's going to be some exciting moments. I give you that. There's already been some exciting moments, and I think MJF and Bryan Danielson is going to be a good match. Leading up to it, I'm not really very thrilled to it. Only putting Bryan Danielson in match opportunities, MJF, you got to still compete. But my thing is, for me, it's not getting over to that point. And my thing is, and I'll leave you off of this here today, is that I'm more worried about the long run of MJF and his storyline compared to, in comparison with CM Punk. Maybe I'm outrageous of so I'll leave you guys off with that note. The throw-in continues, wrapping up tomorrow morning. Check us out right here on the TNC Sports Talk YouTube channel. You guys have a good one. Take care.